Elon, let's talk about some of your companies. I want to start first with Tesla, though. As I'd mentioned earlier, your stock is on a tear. You just got upgraded this past week by Morgan Stanley to overweight. And a lot of people are saying, look, this is a stock that's been undervalued, and there's been a lot of underestimations about where Tesla is going to go with its production. First off, where are you production-wise with the Model S?
Well, I can only talk in terms of information that's been already disclosed. So I can't, as a public company, I can't reveal material non-public information right now.
You could, you just might get in trouble.
Yes, exactly. But I think things are going reasonably well. Our focus with respect to production is on quality, and it's much better for us to go at a rate that allows us to deliver very high quality cars than try to accelerate that rate and potentially deliver low quality cars. And it's worth noting that we started deliveries, as people are aware, in June of this year. Since then, there have been no recalls, there have been no fires, there have been no anything. No
I mean, you've got to get it
reviews.
right. You've got to get it right the first time out. I mean,
First impressions matter.
Absolutely. And I want to just bring up, because this is what Morgan Stanley had pointed out in their report, which is they said, look, Elon Musk is focused on quality. He's got to get it right coming right out of the gate for Tesla. And I want to bring up this chart that we have, because they say this focus on quality may be the reason why you may miss your targets, where they estimate that you estimate 5,000 by the end of this year. They say you could maybe perhaps meet half of that. They say you said that you want to hit 20,000 by next year. Morgan Stanley says it's probably going to be more like around 15,000, because you want to focus more on quality and not so much pushing out these cars.
Well, I think again, I can't comment on sort of near-term stuff. I have in the past, on a few occasions, said that there are three things that I'm very confident of achieving. And so if I may simply reiterate those three things, those were that we would start production no later than July of this year, and we actually were able to start production in June. The second one was that we would produce at least 20,000 cars in 2013.
And you believe you'll do that?
I believe we will do that. And the third thing is that we would achieve a gross margin in excess of 25%, and I remain confident of those three things. So of those three things, I stand by those. Okay.
All right, Elon, we'll be back with you to talk more about Tesla. And, of course, we'll talk more about SpaceX with Elon Musk. Back with us in 2 minutes. Stay in the loop. Because I am back with Elon Musk. He's the founder, chairman, and CEO of the electric car maker Tesla, and also, of course, the founder of SpaceX. Now, I just want to spend a little bit more time, Elon, just on Tesla. Now, you mentioned the three goals that you have for the car company. One of the production goals as well that is out there is that you want to have 5,000 cars delivered by the end of this year. Is that another goal that you will be able to reach?
Well, actually, I need to be very hesitant about talking about any near-term metrics for Tesla. So I think that the most I'm comfortable saying is reiterating those three things that I mentioned.
Okay.
The 20,000, the fact that we would start production.
You are going to get 20,000 by next year.
The 20,000 next year and 25% gross margin next year. Those are the three things I feel comfortable iterating. But any sort of really near-term stuff, I think I have to be very cautious of doing to not run afoul of disclosure of material public information.
All right. Okay. Now, demand is not the problem, though, for you, right? You said demand is not a problem
for Tesla. No. In fact, we have a really high demand for our cars. And in fact, probably the biggest reason people don't put down a reservation payment for our car is that they have to wait too long to get it. And they need a car, and so that literally is the biggest issue.
The demand is what's got what's got the Obama administration pretty excited about electric cars, right? I mean, I think President Obama has come out and said that he'd like to see 1 million electric vehicles on the road in 3 years by 2015. Is that too ambitious?
Well, I think it's unlikely to be 1 million in 3 years, but I do think we'll see perhaps 1 million in maybe 6 to 8 years.
In 6 to 8 years. Okay. And there's a lot of competition coming on board, including Coda Automotive, which they've got an electric car that's priced a little bit cheaper than yours, around $37,000, backed by Phil Falcone, former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson, and you're looking like...
I don't think Coda is going to survive.
Why is that?
The car it's just not good value for money. if you look at the car, and this is not from some desire to denigrate competition. It's simply, if you look at the car, it looks like a sort of maybe 1990 knockoff of a Toyota Corolla for $40,000. So why would you buy that?
Well, is there a price that it could be bought at, though? I mean, you know,
like $15,000 maybe.
Okay. Do you see a market opening up for that cheap of a, for cheaper end electric cars?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As soon as there is, if somebody were to produce a compelling electric car at say $30,000, $25,000, I think it would definitely sell. In fact, at Tesla, our third generation vehicle, that's what we intend to do, is to produce a car that costs around $30,000, and that's you know, increases the affordability relative to say the Model S, which starts at around $50,000 to $60,000.
Elon, tell me about this announcement you're going to make on Monday. It's
yeah, great. That's what I'd love to talk about.
Yeah, because a lot of the, you know, some of the, I guess, hesitation about electric cars is, well, how am I going to get it on? How am I going to take long road trips on this? You know, where am I going to charge? How am I going to charge this car up? So how are you exactly addressing that with the supercharger?
Well, so we're going to have a big unveil on Monday night. And I think people are going to be pretty amazed. This is the feeling I want people to have is like when you come to a highway rest stop, you're doing a long distance trip, you see this thing, it looks like an alien spaceship has landed in this otherwise drab highway rest stop. You know, highway rest stops are not really very exciting places. I mean, they
have their own charms, but yeah.
Some of them have charms, but not many.
Okay.
And we really want this to be sort of like a beacon of hope and inspiration, something that looks like this amazing alien sculpture in.
So you want to open 10 of these, or how many do you want to open of these, or what are we talking about here around the country?
We're actually going to enable people to travel across anywhere in the country, anywhere in the United States. So there'll be probably over 100, yeah, they'll allow you to travel anywhere in the country, and then ultimately we're going to do this in other parts of the world as well. So ultimately you'll be able to drive anywhere in the world. And there are a number of cool things that I'll reveal Monday night. But the key
Can you say what they are?
The key takeaway is that I'm really confident that the supercharger will completely alleviate people's concerns about range with electric vehicles.
Okay, because that is a major concern. The other one is, of course, service. Where am I going to get this car serviced? Elon, the company, though, you know, is burning through cash. You're spending a lot of cash, obviously, to get these cars on the market. So by the end of this year, I think there's some estimates that you'll have about $130 million on hand. Are you going to have to raise more capital?
Well, that's something that we're considering, and I've mentioned the fact that we're considering this before. Well, I can't talk to the specifics of that, but it's something. You mean
a secondary offering, possibly?
It's a possibility.
Okay. All right, Elon, we'll be back with you in just a few moments. I want to talk now about SpaceX, so we're going to go off Earth, and talk about SpaceX. Also want to get Elon's take on the economy election as well. Stay with us on In the Loop. Well, I am back with Tesla and SpaceX chairman and CEO Elon Musk. Let's talk a little bit about SpaceX.
Sure.
You had a huge accomplishment this past May. You launched your first rocket to the space station. NASA called it absolutely incredible.
Thanks.
And you are about to launch cargo missions, or your first cargo mission on October 7th from Cape Canaveral, right?
Well, actually, this will be our second cargo mission. The one earlier this year was our first cargo mission to the space station. This will be our first, what's called operational cargo mission. So that one was a demonstration.
And this one is the...
This one's kind of like the... Well, first operational mission, although, I mean, they're
the real thing?
Pretty much the same thing. It's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, and you're on track for that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because Orbital had come out just, I think it was even just yesterday, saying that they had to delay their own mission, I think, from just this month to later on in the year.
Right. I think it's unlikely. I think they'll probably launch next year.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. How would you, I mean, not to put you on the spot and for you to denigrate or not your competitors, but what do you make of, I mean, because this is becoming a competitive space. What do you think of their rocket?
Sure. Well, NASA has issued 2 contracts for supplying the space station, one to SpaceX and one to Orbital Sciences.
Right.
We have the primary contract in that we have 12 missions, they have 8 missions, and we have the entire responsibility for bringing stuff back from the space station. So their system can go up, but it can't come back. Where I think they have challenges is in the way that they've designed the rocket, where it's using Russian engines that were built in the 60s, Ukrainian...
Literally built in the 60s.
Quite literally built in the 60s, and not a design from the 60s, but actually built in the 60s. tied to a Ukrainian first stage, attached to an American solid rocket second stage, and then an Italian cargo module. So I think it's difficult, you know, when you've got so many languages and time zones and you're trying to combine all those things, it's a challenge.
Now, I don't know a whole lot about this area, but from what I've read, Orbital wants to do cargo and intelligence missions. Is that also what you are looking to do with yours as well?
Well, we have many customers for our rockets. So we now have about 46 launches under contract. 12 of those are for NASA. But the others are for a wide range of commercial companies. So we have contracts to launch broadcast and communication satellites, mapping satellites, space science experiments. NASA is our biggest and most important customer, but almost 3/4 of our customers are commercial.
Okay. Obviously, a very capital-intensive, industry. People are talking about an IPO. You've you've made some remarks about that. What can we expect with the SpaceX IPO? Well,
I think the timing for a SpaceX IPO is really going to be when we're doing a very steady cadence of launches. So launching once every 2 to 3 weeks. So I wouldn't, and I'd also like to get our Falcon Heavy rockets to flight before
you think about listing them, before you think about going public.
Yeah, and okay. The Falcon Heavy is going to be a really amazing rocket because it'll be the most powerful rocket in the world by a factor of 2. So twice as big as anything that Russia or China has or anything that Boeing has. You can imagine if there was a plane that was, say, twice the size of the A380 or 747. That's
wow.
This is a big rocket.
Elon, just quickly, we had another billionaire on our program, not this particular program, but on Street Smart, Richard Branson,
sure.
Who has the same ambitions to populate Mars, and he wants to. He has built his business partly on that. I want you to just hear what he had to say.
Okay.
Next year, Virgin Galactic will finally be born properly, and and then we will start taking people into just giving them a taste of space. And then in time we'll be taking people onto orbital trips, and then going a step further, I hope we'll be taking people right into the depth of space.
So he has the same ambitions as you do.
Right. Well, I think maybe we're at different stages in that progress. So what Virgin Galactic is aspiring to do is to do suborbital flights, which are basically you sort of shoot up and then fall down. But I mean, just to put things into perspective, I mean, our Falcon Heavy rocket has 100 times the thrust of what Virgin is aspiring to launch next year. So literally 100 times.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so yours will be different. I mean, obviously, other than that, but then what's the biggest differentiator then?
Well, I think the magnitude. I mean, literally, like I said, essentially, what Virgin Galactic will be launching, their rocket is 1% the size of ours.
Okay.
So it's quite a big difference.
Okay. 100 times different. All right, yes. Elon, thank you. Actually, we'll be back with you with just some final thoughts with Elon Musk from Tesla and SpaceX back in 2. Well, Elon Musk with us with some final thoughts, the CEO and founder, of course, of Tesla and SpaceX. And Elon, I just want to spend a little bit of time just talking a little bit more about the economy and the jobs market. So there's so much talk about how there's a fight for talent in Silicon Valley. Are you finding that as well for your companies?
Well, I think we're fortunate in that with Tesla and SpaceX, we're not just fighting for, say, software engineers. We're in the case of SpaceX, I think we're the best place if you're an engineer interested in aerospace. I think SpaceX is the best place for you. I mean, I think we're the most attractive place to go, and I think Tesla Motors has a similar reputation in automotive engineering.
But do you find that that wage costs are rising for you at all? That you have to pay more to get the same people?
Not really, no. I mean, from a salary standpoint, we will often offer less than people are making at other places. Although we do offer stock options so that people have a stake in the upside.
There's the potential. Yeah.
In fact, I believe strongly in offering stock options to everyone. So everyone at Tesla,
has
without exception, has stock options.